So today we're going to talk about my January and February wrap up and then prepare for my March TBR. Hey book baes, I'm Sade Renee, author and creative entrepreneur, and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about the books that I've read in January and February, and then talk about the books that I'm looking to read in March. So I don't physically have these books because I read them on Kindle and one was in audiobook form. We'll start with the books that I read in January. I will not do in-depth descriptions of any of these books. I'm pretty sure you know about these books already. I will do a separate video later that will basically be sort of a review for the book that I read. Now, the very first book that I read in January was Warcross by Marie Lu. This book was really good. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The book was amazing. The storyline was very interesting. I love how it was so high tech and virtual. Pretty much the entire book, I really enjoyed it. Second book that I read in January was The Alpha Drive by Kristen Martin. Now, I own pretty much all of her books, but I have finally got to the point where I can finish the very first one. And I read author's book in chronological order, even though the series are different. I can't move on to any other books until I finish the first one. So I got through the Alpha Drive. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars as well. Now, for my February TBR, I was looking to read 2 books: Given to Fly by K.L. Montgomery and The Broken Road by Melissa Hewitt. So I first want to say that I did not get to read this book, but I did read a total of 3 books in February, still sticking to my theme of romance type books. So again, this was the very first one. This book was definitely a slow burn. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars as well. Now, the other 2 books that I read in February, I actually do not have physical copies of. One was an audiobook, the other one was a Kindle book. The second book that I read is by Shia Swain. Now, I've had the pleasure of being Facebook friends with Shia for a really long time. She is a fellow indie author. She writes some amazing romance stories, and the book that I read from her is called Absolve. I will put the image here of what the books look like, but it's called Absolve, and it follows a girl named Nissa and a guy named Trent who their love story. Man, I wrote her on Facebook and asked her to write some more. Like, skip the whole ending, start in the middle, and just write some more, even if it's just for me. Their love story was so good. It follows Nissa, whose brother is in a tragic car accident when he was about 9 years old. He survives for 6 years, but his injuries eventually get the best of him, and he dies when he's 15 years old. At the funeral, she meets this guy. Well, she sees this guy at the funeral. She doesn't know who he is. She's never met him before, but she can tell that he was there for her brother because he had on her brother's favorite team's jersey, and he was basically watching them the entire time. So she smiled or whatever, and he, knowing who she is, goes into this like stalkerish type rant on how he loves her, how she can't know who he is, and things like that. And then he gives away that he basically knows her, but she doesn't know him. And shortly after the brother's funeral, she's tasked with delivering this strange guy a package that her brother left for him, and that is when their love story starts. And listen, it was an insta love, but not really an insta love, because the guy have known her for 6 years. But for her, it was more insta. But the book is good, and we'll talk about it. I gave it 4 stars because there were some pieces that I didn't like about it, but for the most part, the book was amazing. And the very last book that I listened to it in audiobook form, which was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It was the very first book that I ever listened to or read by Colleen Hoover, and I think I will go on to read more books by her. You will see a review on that one as well, and I also gave that book a 4 out of 5 stars. I might have given it a 3 star, I'm not sure, but I think it was a 4. I think all of these were 4-star reads. So quickly, let's talk about my March TBR. If you remember from my February TBR, I am aiming to read 12 books this year, so at least 1 book a year. I am already 5 books in for the year. But so I have my March TBR, which, don't hate me if it changes again, because there's a chance that it will. I have a lot of books that I have put on reserve from the library, and as they come in, I try to read them. So I might not even get to these books, but the first book that I would like to try to read for March would be Broken Road by Melissa Huey. I know I'm finished the whole romance as theme, but I still want to give this book a try since I did put it out for me to read. The next book that I'm really interested in reading, and I mean really, really interested in reading, is The Oracle of Delphi, the Oracle of Delphi, Prophecy of the Most Beautiful by Deantha Jones. I hauled this book back in last May. She is also a fellow indie author who I've had the pleasure of meeting and signing alongside of at the Royal Book Bash, as well as All About the Indies, which is the event that I host that will be happening again. Royal Book Bash happens June 13th in Fredericksburg, and All About the Indies will happen August 18th in Arlington, Virginia. So she will be at All About the Indies again, and then I will get to buy the rest of the books. But this book is basically Greek mythology, and if you know anything about me, you know that I am a lover of Greek mythology, and the cover is fucking beautiful. I cannot wait to read this. This might skip ahead of Melissa's book, but I'm not gonna make any promises, but I do want to try to read them both, and I do want to finally be able to put out my reviews for all the books that I got from indie authors, because I'm an indie author myself. I like to be able to read and review the books and show my support as often as possible. So of all the books that I have listed today, which one have you already read or looking forward to read, and what did you think about them if you did read them? Please leave your comment in the box below and we will talk about it. So this is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe on your way out. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay positive, stay creative, and be bold.